This is where we hold them. This is where we fight.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.
Rob, what's good, homie? It's been a couple weeks.
It's been a while. It's like that song from Nickelback. It's been a while since we've been on.
It's a terrible song.
It's a terrible song. It's so bad.
I'd prefer It's Been a Long Time. I shouldn't have left you without a Don't Beat the Step 2. Come on.
Hey, yo, I'm excited. We got a lot to talk about, man. There's a lot of bowling. You've done a lot of bowling. I've done myself share of my bowling. A lot of some PBA action. There's some PWBA action. Fortunately for us, there wasn't a whole lot of bowling drama in the last few weeks, or else we probably would have ended up making a show or trying to get a show. But
I'll be honest, I really wasn't in the mood to come on here and talk bowling. I'm not getting into it. Not only is our world a crazy place, but I also have a lot going on personally. So not something I'm going to get into on the podcast, but I'm good. People. It's all relatively minor issues, but when it rains, it pours, I would say. But I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to be back. Glad to get to come chop it up with you guys, chop it up with the Sweep the Rack community. And I miss the weekly sessions where the people are jumping in the chat, and let's get right into it. Nico, one of our most vocal people in the chat, asking me, Mike, as the season is over, do you regret selling Belmo stock? I mean, of course, yes, I'm going to say yes. Of course. I mean, the only answer, I would be a completely disingenuous shitbag if I didn't say anything but yes to that question. But let me give a different take on it, please. All right, Nico, let me give a little bit of a different take here. To buy Belmo stock at any point is the easiest pick ever. Okay, so if you want to fault me for not going with the grain, not going with the chalk, and you want to give Rob here all the credit for buying stock in the greatest guy ever, and let's be clear, if you buy stock that's already very valuable, even if that stock goes up, it's only going up a little bit. So like you really didn't make that much, because while he had a tremendous season, this is not something we haven't seen from him before. This
he had
did
one
not
of the best years of his career.
Yeah, but this did not vault him to another level. This season did not vault him to another level.
How can you get to another level if you're at the best level you could possibly be at?
I mean,
he's already at the highest level.
Your best season ever.
This was his best season ever.
No.
5 titles?
I don't know. Doesn't he have seasons with multiple majors?
Maybe.
I would come on, so. No, that's a stretch, Rob. It's a stretch to say that this was his best season ever. It's his 7th player of the year. What's shocking about that?
No shocked. I'm not shocked. You were shocked after I would. You know what I should have done?
Your argument here, Rob. I'm going to give you your argument. No. Let me give you your argument. Your argument should be that he tied Walter Ray as 7 player of the years, and it took Walter Ray 20 years to do that, where it only took him 10, and that's,
crazy,
pretty impressive. But I stand by that. Listen,
38. He's 38, Mike.
Shout to the guy.
He's 38.
Shout to the guy. I mean, it's he's a sicko.
At this
pace, he's a sicko. He's like he's the two-handed plus the execution. It's like this is what happens when a two-hander masters execution, masters ball motion, and ball choice and lane play and all of the above. I mean, dude is just the total package. Okay, let's be clear. Like what he's done.
Okay, so I'm
going to be the best ever. That's how people are going to refer to him. Can I just throw one more thing out there? I'm going to let you say whatever you want. Again, the field goal posts have kind of moved in terms of what we consider the best. For a long, long time, Earl held the title because he held most titles. Walter held the title because he surpassed Earl and held most titles. We're not there yet with Belmo, but again, the length of time in which he has done such is Tiger Woods-ish. It's Tiger Woods-ish, which is the highest compliment I could pay somebody.
I'm going to find the old episode where you sold the stock and why you sold the stock, and I'm going to replay some of the stuff you were saying about how he's I don't even want to quote you wrong. I might have to pull that old episode up. And
I remember what I said. I said that you see this often with professional bowlers where they'll have a little down, a little gully, if you will.
Gully, is that what you said?
Yes. So I did say that. I was wrong. Clearly, the guy came back probably more motivated on the lanes than I think I've ever seen him.
I'm done with Mike. Actually, said he was wrong.
I'll call it how it is, bro.
That's gonna be the title of this episode when I post it on the Apple
and
Rhapsody. Mike was wrong.
It's fine.
Anyway, so we got some
Nico, thanks for the comment. We'll kick it off with that. Robert, what's good? What's going on? Colin, what's good? Folks, feel free to join us in the chat. We always love the comments. So if you want to get involved in the conversation, feel free. All right, Rob, I guess we'll start as we usually start, updating the people on our own bowling exploits. Okay. Let's see. I gotta be careful about what I say here, don't say here. My summer league's not going to produce much content for the show, I don't think. And the reason is because it's more of a practice environment than it is a competitive environment. So, with that said, I was planning to use my summer league experience for some content, but probably not going to turn out that way. That's okay. Not bowling so well. I took a couple weeks off after the winter league ended, and I really didn't bowl at all. Went out the first week, and it's deathly hot in this bowling center, and it has synthetic approaches. And if you've ever bowled in that condition, you know that it's very very sticky, and it's very tough for me to execute well when that's the case. So my execution has not been good at all. I'm hoping that the owner decides to crank up the AC once it really gets hot, because otherwise it's going to be almost unbearable. But so league, more of a practice environment. I'll update the people on my scores, I guess. Last night was not pretty. It was not pretty. I forget what I shot 2 weeks ago, but that wasn't real pretty either. But last night, here's the other thing. I forgot. I even forgot to tell you this off camera. The patterns we're bowling on are not the toughest patterns. Okay, so I think we started out on what is it? Kegel beaten path, which is like 5.5 to 1 ratio. So it's decent, but it's not as tough as what I usually bowl on. With that said, just the general atmosphere in this center for me personally has made it a lot more challenging than it seems to be. And I stayed after bowling last night and actually practiced a couple games after I was done because I bowled so poorly. And I tried quite a few things, and I was like, wow, I really don't know what the right thing was. And there was a fresh pair. So I went to the fresh pair and, did put in some work, bowled 3 or 4 games. And I'm pretty sure I figured them out, and figured out what I should have been doing versus what I was doing. I bowled a 109 last night. Okay, I bowled a 109. That was the highlight of my night because I decided to play out for one game. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to jump out and I'm going to see how this goes. And obviously, it did not go well. because I opened, I think, 5 out of the first 6 frames. So yeah, terrible. But the other games that I bowled last night were okay. The ones that I played the lanes how I felt I should have been playing them at the time. But tough environment for me. So you'll hear some updates on me throughout the season. Go ahead. You want to laugh at me? You want to make fun of me? That's okay. Come on out and bowl on it. You know,
I'll bowl
come
better
on
than
out and bowl on
109. I'll tell you that.
Okay.
So how was the training center? I know you went to New Jersey, the training center. People want to know.
It's awesome. It's awesome. It's amazing.
I bet.
I
know about it.
If you are a serious bowler and you're, I would say, anywhere within a reasonable driving distance of Howell Lanes, you need to go and book time and check it out. It's just it's super high level, and it's very well done, and it's a very nice place, and yeah, it's sort of like a serious bowler's dream. You know, is the way I would describe it. So,
very familiar with that.
brand new lanes, brand new machines, brand new scoring, brand new everything. They took lanes 1 through 5 and separated it from lanes 6 through 40. I think there might be in this house. Now there is no lane 6 anymore.
Oh, okay? I was about to ask.
Right, lane 6 has a wall. Is the wall for the training center. Okay.
Right. Okay.
Lane 5 in the training center is a string pin lane.
Did you bowl on the string pin?
I did not. We bowled on 3 and 4, so I did not bowl. I didn't even know it was string pins until we were getting done. And
I can't wait for you to see
Bone,
it.
Parker's wife, was there. That's who was taking care of us. And yeah, I mean, I introduced myself and we talked a little bit and whatnot. And you know, she actually mentioned to us before we left that lane 5 was string pin. So I told my buddy who I went with, like, yo, the next time we come, if you want to check that out, we'll check that out.
It's miserable. It's miserable and miserable in a good way.
Okay.
Oh, if it's a bad lane, you're gonna leave. I swear I'll bowl an hour and I'll leave, like, no joke, like 25 10 pins, like in and out. Like, it is every other shot is a flat 10. So I'm curious. So tell the people, what are the rates? What are the hourly rates? How are they charging you guys there?
So, you know, honestly, I can't really say. And the reason that I can't really say is, number one, I'll be honest, I'm blessed and I don't really pay attention to the price of much of anything. I'll be honest about that. But they're in the very opening stages of things, right? Like when we went in on Saturday, we were kind of learning together. Like me and my buddy Mike, who I went with, and Leslie Bone and Tom Russo is Matt Russo's dad. He was there as well. We were all kind of learning the system a little bit together. Like they had us download the apps that we needed to our phone. There's 2 different apps that you're going to want if you go there. One is the Specto app. The other one is the Open Play app, which is what they use for Open Lane app. Sorry, Open Lane. That's what they use for all their reservations and things of that nature. But
That's
again,
awesome.
I couldn't figure out how to do it before I went. So I hit up, shout to Mike Ormsby, who again works at HAL, is involved in rev rates. He actually booked the time for me. And then I went in and we downloaded the apps and created an account. And they kind of showed me how to do everything. But I would say generally, again, for a lane with a pattern on it, and the use of Specto, you're probably looking at about $40 to $50 an hour is probably what it was. I think and again, it's hard for me to say because we did 2 lanes for an hour and a half each with a pattern out with Specto, and that was $160.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. So, I mean, was it cheap? No, it's not cheap, but is it worth the money?
Oh,
I think it is.
Yes.
I think it is. I mean, there was nobody else there. You know, there was nobody else there. It was just
perfect.
us.
It's a perfect practice environment.
There's Specto. I mean, the Specto is the same graphics and everything that you see on the PBA show. Like when they have that 3D graphic that comes up with the guy's balls going down, you can literally bring that up shot for shot. You know, it gives you a rundown of every shot you threw, and it gives you varied statistics on those shots. We basically got to choose whatever pattern we wanted. which was beautiful. Like you can call up and say, hey, can I reserve a lane? I'd like this pattern. So listen, if you want white glove service, like you better be willing to pay white glove prices. You know what I'm saying? So to me, this was like white glove service for the competitive bowler. Now, when we were done with our practice session, because honestly, an hour and a half was probably a little bit much. We were kind of gassed out after like an hour and 10 minutes. So if you go, I would absolutely just recommend an hour. I think an hour is more than enough, even with all the gadgets and everything. But for the last 20 minutes or so, we asked Leslie Bone to show us some of the recreational stuff that they have. Honestly, I was more impressed by that than I was at the competitive bowling stuff, and that says a lot because I was really impressed by the competitive side. Rob, they have a thing you could play horse for bowling. Okay, like the machine will, however many players you have, it'll set up a shot that many times, and every player has to shoot the shot. Whoever gets it gets the letter H, and it goes from there. They have the ability. Cool. It's crazy. They have the ability to like high level graphics on the lane. The lane's on fire, and you roll the ball down the lane, and the ball catches fire and drags the fire down the lane with it.
We should have got a video of that. That'd have been awesome.
Did. I put some videos up on our on the story of our Instagram. Yeah, I definitely threw some of this stuff up there. Angry Birds for bowling, where they put a graphic on the lane of where the birds are, and you got to hit those pins. The lane can take your picture and project your picture out onto the lane. So they actually put you in the graphics of these games and stuff that they have.
Future bowling, huh?
It was sick. It was sick. I thought to myself, man, like this is like Top Golf of bowling, where you can draw in anyone, even if they're not into bowling per se. Right?
That sounds like the future recreation. Future recreation bowling, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I got to be honest. Like after seeing this, I'm surprised that like when Bolero redid a lot of their centers, that they didn't do this. I mean,
come on.
Why wouldn't you?
Because there's more money for Bolero, and that takes more money out of the executives.
I mean, Rob, if most Bolero centers, or even the nicer flagship centers that they have, had this, let me tell you something. Like no one would be able to compete. I mean, this is only a small 5-lane center, but this was probably the nicest bowling center I was ever in. I mean, it's just super well done. And it was just really impressive. We had a good time. We messed around a little bit at the end with the graphics and some of the games and things like that. And, listen, if you're a high-level bowler, competitive bowler, and you're within a reasonable distance of Hal lanes, don't take my word for it. Go yourself. I'm serious. Go and check it out. They're going to be running some clinics and things there. So check out their website. I think it's revratesvip.com. You can just Google RevRatesVIP. So they're going to be running some clinics and things of that nature. But yeah, awesome. I mean, I see what you're talking about with B3. Now that I went there and actually got to check it out. So it was awesome experience. I'll definitely be back. I might even be going back on Saturday. I don't think it's going to work out because I have some people coming to do work on my house, among other things going on. But I will absolutely 100% be back there sooner than later. No question.
Yeah. I mean, there's a reason why I go to B3 pretty much every Saturday and bowl for an hour and spend the money.
How much is it there? What are their rates like?
$40 an hour. If I want to use, I think Specto is like a $15 add-on. Specto's cool. I don't know. For me, it's not worth it. I liked having it, but for every week to go do Specto, for me, I'm not really paying attention to it that much.
Yeah, I hear you. It was just so cool.
It is.
That if I was like, I want it. I want it.
Oh there. Yeah. Oh no, for your first time, and even to do it every month, like every 2 or 3 practice sessions, like to see where you're placing the ball, where you're laying down, where your break point is. It's really cool to see that, to see how accurate you are and where your speed control is. But it doesn't really calculate rev rate too well. So I wouldn't really go off of how much your rev rate is. For some reason, it doesn't calculate that pretty good. What up, Alex?
Alex George in the bowling. What up, Alex? Yeah. So
yeah,
great. One last bowling experience piece for me. I got asked to sub in a house league.
And did you bowl?
I did. I did, because it was my boy Mike D. It's one of the few people in the bowling world who, if they call me to sub in a house league, I will drive the 40 minutes to go sub in the house league. Remember back in the 90s, the houses, and Lodi was like this. You remember Lodi's house shot back in the 90s? And it was like dead wall. You understand what I'm saying? Like flood in the middle, outside 6 is just scorched earth. Okay. Yes, very bouncy, very over it. That's what this house pattern was.
Yeah.
So yeah, I struggled I had never bowled in this house before. Struggled for game 1. Struggled for game 2. Yeah, a little bit. Struggled for game 1. It's Ocean Lanes too, is the place I'm talking about, if anybody wants to know. Struggled for game 1, struggled for game 2, and then game 3, I finally found the right ball and kind of found the right play and what I should be doing. And yeah, I shot like, I think 246 or 247 or something like that. But only about 610, on the wall, which was disappointing. But yeah, old school style wall. I was just like, wow, I haven't seen one of these in forever, because most places they have the nicer machines now that can kind of put these tapered, strip and put these tapered house shots out that, I think the tapered ones are much easier than just the build up strict walls. But yeah, I got to sub in a house league too. So that's been my bowling adventure. I got some tournaments coming up. I'm signed up for the 6K at Parkway that Dougie's running, I think July 10th. It's a dual pattern tournament at Parkway Lane. So I'm signed up for that. I'm going to bowl that. I'm going to bowl a couple Greg Tack events coming up in the next month or two. He just had one last week. I didn't get to go because I had some stuff going on. So yeah, I'm getting ready to wrap up school, wrap up work, and then I get to, it's my time to bowl as much as I want, really. So yeah, I'll be out there. If you're out there, you'll see me out there. Rob, you bowled USBCs.
I did. I bowled a national tournament. So if anybody is out there that's listening that hasn't bowled yet,
this is such a good comment about the giant, the old school wall, the old silver bullet machine. Robert, that is such a good comment, bro. Everybody remembers that machine. And that's exactly the kind of shot I'm talking about, where they would block out the wicks on the first few wicks of the machine and just run it the rest of the way. Yeah, no doubt. But all right, go ahead, Rob. USBCs, man.
USBC tournament. So I'll try to be quick here.
No. We want the in-depth. We want the in-depth, please.
Okay. So the day before I went out there, I drilled 2 more balls. I drilled a IQ Tour.
Free balls.
OG. 2 balls.
Free balls.
We'll talk. Maybe not.
Okay.
Maybe not. I drilled an IQ Tour, OG one, the original one, and I also drilled an RSTX2. Okay. I went out there and team event. I start out 235 clean, 244 clean. So or is 248 clean. So I'm turning 482 going into the third game. Now here's where the last game gets crazy for me. Okay. I have an unbelievable look. Okay. I started out with my IQ Tour playing right at 10 and really, really moved in really fast because a lot of my team were playing a little bit left and they didn't break down. They broke down pretty quick. So the last game, this is how my game goes. You ready? The people are going to love this. Strike, pocket 7-10, double. Okay. So here's where my game goes to absolute shit. I get up in the 5th shot and I get up and I slip when I'm about to throw it and I fall and I foul, but I strike. Okay. So I'm literally on the floor of the approach and the foul light hasn't went off yet. And I'm watching the ball go down the lane on the floor. And I'm like, man, this ball looks good. It felt really good off my hand. Okay. But I fell, and all of a sudden the foul light goes off and I strike. And now I'm like, oh shit, I don't remember the last time I actually slipped. Last year, I remember I grabbed the ball and I was down the lane with it. This year I actually slip and fall, and then I get up and I make the spare, so I strike again. Okay. So now I double Then I leave a 4-pin strike. I get up in a 10 frame. I could strike out for 218 for like 698 in team, which is a good score for team. And I just completely stuff a 9-pin for 190. Okay. So now I finish at 678 for team. My team itself bowled 3269 in team event, which will probably be like a top 50 by the probably time it's over. The team bowled good. Wesley Lowe actually struggled a ton compared to what I thought he was gonna. I thought he was gonna absolutely crush the shot, and he struggled. He just had way too much ball in the back of the lane. His ball was doing U-turns at the back end, and his urethane was kind of just too sporadic, so he just couldn't find anything. Look, anyway, singles and doubles was really disappointing for me in a nutshell. By the way, team event I opened once, and that was the 7-10. So it would have been a clean set. Yeah. I really started out 2 of the first 3 games in doubles, spare 4-bagger and 5-bagger to start my first 2 games, and shot 6-0 for doubles. I literally lost about 100 pins in the 10 frame in this tournament, Mike. I literally couldn't. I wasn't throwing it very good. And I'm not going to blame anything. I'm not going to blame me falling or falling on my knee, all that shit. I just couldn't make the shots when I needed to during those 6 games. I 2-4-8-10 twice in the 10th in 2 of those games. I just didn't feel great compared to what I felt like on Saturday, and I couldn't find a reaction that really fit me what I needed to. I made some probably wrong decisions with my equipment and whatnot. Overall, though, obviously I went 6-0, 6-0. I ended up 1878. Honestly, Mike, could have been easily 2,000 if I would have actually been able to not split in a 10 frame. And yeah, man, wish I could have those 6 games back, because starting that tournament with team event at 670, I mean, usually doubles and singles, I'm a lot better than team. But I felt like the pair we got on in the stadium was just, it wasn't great. It wasn't a great side. I think it was 33 and 34, 35 and 36. And I really wanted to be in the teens, because I think a lot of the high scorings were coming out of the teens. So overall, though, I didn't throw it really that great or that good compared to what I threw it in team event, which I threw it pretty good. Back to the drawing board. That was the end of the trip. Some weird events happened during the trip. So they're checking bowling balls now. So it's really weird, because the USBC makes you bring all the balls into a paddock, and then you literally put all your balls on a ramp, and then they're not weighing them, which probably doesn't make any sense these days with the weight holes. All they're really doing is just checking to see if you're not using one of the legal softballs, and then they're giving it back to you. Okay. Overall, it's kind of stupid. I mean, if I wanted to sneak in an illegal ball, I could do it easy. There would be no one really probably checking, or I probably could if I want to. Not that I'm going to, not that I give a shit about any of that. But it's just a weird dynamic. How they just bring you in and they just kind of don't even check anything. They just look at the serial number of your ball, and they look at your bowling ball, and they let you go. So overall, though, I had a fun trip. I'm bowling this weekend in the city tournament Saturday. I think I'm actually bowling 9 games on Saturday, which will be a lot for me. I think they're actually using a pattern at the city tournament. I don't imagine it being a hard pattern, but it's probably something like what you said, maybe something 5-1 or 6-1. Just to keep myself bowling right now, because I haven't thrown a ball since I came back. So it's been about a week and a half. I took some time just to my knee was bothering me from when I fell. And I'm trying to work out a little bit more after work. So yeah, that was my trip.
We all saw you not struggling on the walk from the bowling alley to the parking lot. I mean, clearly we all saw that. I feel like your meme went viral in the bowling community almost.
There was a reason why I was working out so much, man. I was in there. Didn't even break a sweat, man. Got the blood pumping through the muscles. I was ready to bowl team event after that 3-mile walk from the car in a 100-degree weather. Good seeing David Tolson. I didn't get a chance to talk to him and meet him, but he bowled my squad. Looked solid, Rob. I appreciate that. It was fun. Always fun. I got asked to bowl again next year. It's in Reno, so I'll stay with the same team. We had a pretty solid team actually. So yeah, we'll see. I bowled with Eddie Van Daniker. You know Eddie Van Daniker and Wesley Lowe.
Yo, Eddie Van Daniker.
Yeah.
Yo, you're pulling out a name. He still bowls,
dude. My guy throws it fantastic,
dude.
Yeah,
Rob, let me tell you something. Okay. You and I are like OGs at this point with the bowling thing, okay? But I'm going back a while when he was a junior bowler, okay? And he was one of the first junior bowlers that was allowed to bowl adult stuff, right? It was right around that time that they were changing the rules where these junior players could show up to adult stuff and bowl. And he came to a couple tournaments that I was at, and I saw him throw the ball. And I literally went up to him and was like, yo, dude, like, you throw it better than almost anybody I've ever seen, man. Like, whatever you're doing, keep doing. I had no idea who he was, didn't even know what his name was, nothing. And here it turns out, like, the next year he makes Junior Team USA. I start hearing his name, start hearing him around here and there. Then he goes out on tour, and I thought, man, this kid really might have a shot. He really might do it. And he just never broke through. He just never broke through out there. I mean, it just goes to show you, like, there's so many guys who have so much talent, that if you saw them throw the ball, you'd literally think, wow, that's one of the best people I've ever seen throw a bowling ball. And, they don't make it. They don't make it out there. So, yeah.
It's funny.
Glad to hear he's still bowling, though, man. That's awesome.
My guy throws it great. He was good for me to bowl with because I get a really good read off of him. Because we're pretty similar in like where we play the lanes and how we play him. Eddie, I was bowling. Score wise, I was beating him until singles when he ran him over in singles.
What he shoot?
And then I struggled. I think he was like 5-15 after 2, and then had a really bad split in the 10th for like 7-20 or 30 or something.
Okay. And is he in the bowling industry or no?
No, but he's actually moving to my area, in Arizona, because he's still in California. So yeah, I was like, great, another amateur tournament check that is going to be, another spot where everyone's going to be bowling for.
Dude, he threw it so good.
Yo, he still throws it great. He's still
so good, dude. I'm telling you,
he goes a lot on the West Coast.
Like there's probably only like a half dozen non-professional title-winning bowlers that I can say that about. Like that the first time I saw them bowl in person, I was like, wow, that person throws it amazing. And it's like,
dude, I'm getting sponsors out here.
I see this. I see, what, Matt? I'm not invited, son. I'm not. That's all right, Matt. I don't need your money to back me. I'll back myself, son. I'll back myself. All right.
You bowled 109. You bowled 109 last week. Nobody wants.
That was on a pattern, though. Dougie Vision's always on house shit. Put me on the house shit. I'll be all right. As long as it's not the old school wall. But
Morgan.
I would love to come out and chill at a tournament. But like that list,
you got 25 on you.
That's disrespectful, Matt. That's disrespectful, son.
Yo,
let me say this: if there's any other podcast out there that are, obviously not professional bowlers that want to get an action match going with either one of us, just hit us up. We're more than open to that. My man Rob's got game. All right, I throw it good. I can get it done as well. So yeah, don't front on Sweep the Rack because we will take you up on that. But listen, there's only a few people that are on that list, Rob. That list is like Brian Hatcher. You remember Brian Hatcher?
Of course, man.
From Junior Gold. I mean, God, when Michigan, I saw that kid throw the bowling ball for the first time, I was like, oh my God. I'm like, he is like a Brian Voss with better rev rate and speed. Like that's what he threw it like when 1998, 99. Derek Oaf. Okay. Derek Oaf, like first time I saw him bowl, I was like, oh my God, like that kid throws it better than anyone I've ever seen. Like that's unbelievable. A guy from around here, actually, this was when I was much younger. This is probably like early to mid 90s. Bill Ripley. Bill Ripley, Team USA member, bowled for William Patterson. First time I ever saw him throw it, I was like, my God, he throws it so good.
It's funny though. I gotta talk real quick. So Dougie puts action on the patterns, Lodi. Is it a coincidence that Matt Anderson literally comments right after Dougie with eyes because there's action? Yo, my guy Matt Anderson will bowl as soon as there's action. You see his name pop up, man.
Yeah, but here's the problem, Dougie. I'm bowling the 10th, so I'm not coming up on the 9th and coming up on the 10th, and I'm not getting a hotel up in Lodi for a night that's only an hour from my house. So I'm not likely going to be there on the 9th, but I will be there on the 10th. I will be there to bowl Parkway. You already got my deposit for that, and yeah, listen. I love action on the patterns. Let's make it happen. That's what we need. Okay. Yeah, Walter Hastings, another one, Robert. I agree. But yeah, it's a short list. Short list.
Who threw really good that I bowled college with, if anybody knows the name Jimmy Lewandowski.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt.
Lewandowski, one of the best spare shooters I've ever been around. When I was in college, I bowled with Jimmy in Saginaw my first year. And I think he failed off like 3 times, but he was amazing bowler, and he was junior Team USA. It was a great spare shooter. So I wonder what Jimmy's up to these days, man. That was my old fraternity brother, man. We pledged together. Okay. That was my pledge brother, man. I miss that kid, man. Great guy too.
So speaking of USBC Open, I got to give a shout to somebody I know. They made the USBC Open Championship Facebook page. Shout to Dan Coppola, Keensburg, New Jersey. Former bowler in the Tuesday night sport league that I'm in. He shot a 299 out there, but I got to tell you the funniest part of this, two funny parts about this 299, and you can go to the USBC Open Championship page and you can look at it if you want. The first funny part is that he has no idea how to run out or celebrate a shot. Okay, it's number one. Go watch the video.
I'll teach him something.
Oh, Rob, you could give a master class in that. Come on, please. You have your doctorate in running them out and slapping them out. There's no question. Okay. I feel you. Get it, Hoss. So the other funny thing to me about this 299 that he bowled is that if you watched all 3 shots in the 10th, on the second shot, he misses by about 10 left. And somebody in the back, if you listen closely, if you turn the volume way up when you're watching the video, I swear to God, somebody in the video goes, crossover. And then the ball just slides down the middle of the lane, whacks the hole, and strikes. And my man just celebrates like crazy, like he knew it was going to be there the whole time.
Yo, Matt Anderson's just here for worst of the week. We got about 20 more minutes before worst of the week. So,
Rob, we got the bots. We got the bots on our podcast.
George Gohagan, my guy Triple G will bowl anybody, anywhere, anytime. I respect his grind. I saw George a couple of weeks ago. He came out to bowl the Arizona stop, man, like the amateur tournament here. He bowls everything, man. I love the grind, man. Great bowler too. He'll beat you. He'll beat you up, man. I won't bowl George, man. He's, Anyway, all right, Mike. Well, we got some PBA action. We already talked about a little bit about Belmonte, and
we talk a lot about the best week in bowling. Right, we argue a lot about that around here. Like, what's the best week in bowling? Rob, am I wrong that the PBA Tour Finals is the best weekend in bowling? Am I wrong about that?
I mean, maybe. I mean, I still like the Masters because I still think there's match play on Saturday, and then it finishes on Sunday. So
I don't know, man. To see a 3-game back-to-back 4 hours of bowling 3-game match between 8 of the best players in the world, and then to have that break down into a step ladder the next day, back-to-back step ladders, and then to see the winners of those 2 step ladders bowl each other. It's a pretty good weekend of bowling to me. I mean, I overdosed on watching bowling this weekend. We were kind of stuck in the house anyway. So I was like, all right, perfect time to just kick back and watch some hours of bowling here.
My only criticism is that there isn't really a lot of the PBA do any job, not even a good job or a bad job, of like publicizing the weekend of bowling, the marketing behind it, the advertising. You don't see a lot of just like marketing or advertising for like the weekend of bowling, right? Like, am I wrong?
It's so discombobulated what they're doing. Like, they just had the PBA playoffs. Now you're having the PBA Tour Finals. Well, like, it's not really the PBA Tour Finals because the guys bowling in this event
I don't understand.
is based off of like points from the last 2 years.
So what
right?
is
And
it
then
though? Like,
they're switching networks, right? So they go from FS1 to CBS Sports Network.
that's the reason why my DVR. That's the reason why I didn't DVR. I thought it was going to DVR on my TV. I have both Fox and Fox Sports DVR of bowling. And when I checked my DVR, I'm like, yo, like, where's bowling? And then I realized it was on CBS Sports. I'm like, great. Now I got to try to find it on.
Yeah, and I don't
all over the place, Mike. And I don't want to complain about 8 hours of live bowling, but bro, it's all over the place. I can't. FS1, Fox. It's just fuck, man. Give me like a something consistent. Like, give me a weekly. I don't know, Mike. It just was confusing to me as a fan. You know what I mean?
And listen, like
tour finals, the playoffs, what's the difference?
I know, I like this event. I like the idea of this event, but I don't like it being called the PBA Tour Finals. You know, if you want to call it the PBA finals? Tour Invitational, something like that, the PBA Tour sponsor, Points Mike. Cup, something like okay, I could deal with that. Now, I agree with Sherry here. Definitely, she said the playoffs should be the Tour Finals. It makes no sense. To me, I agree. Like, the way that they have it set up, the playoffs should be it. That should be the end of the season, right? If you want to do some kind of special event, that's fine. I have no problem with that. But I just don't like trying to attach it to the actual season. You know, I don't really have a problem with it being a title, you know, because again, it's based on long stretches of performance. Even though, you know, only having 8 guys in the field, you know, is a little.
Yeah, but okay. Look. I'm gonna argue with you here. Because you're already giving a title to the top 32 in points for the PBA playoffs. Now you're only giving a title for the top 8 in points too. So, like, you know, yeah, the rich are getting richer, no? Like, when it comes to titles?
Yeah, and again, in terms of how they are using this event, and Rob, we know that, like, a lot of this has to do with contract and TV obligations and the deal that they signed with CBS Sports Network, you know, however long ago. I'm sure that, like, that impacts what they're going to do and why we're seeing some of the programming that we're seeing here. But I just have to say, like, I would like to see them do something out of the box and much different than something that we've seen before, done before. I did enjoy the format of this event. I enjoy all the hours of bowling being on. But I mean, give me 8 hours on CBS Sports Network for bowling, and I guarantee you, I'll put together something that you've never seen before. You know, something that you've never seen before. And here's the other thing: I hate it when it's on CBS Sports Network because you can't bet. There's 8 hours of bowling on. There's all these matchups and possibilities for betting, and you can't bet on it at all. You know, so like it gets really boring watching it when you have really no vested interest in what's going on, and it just drives me crazy because the opportunities for betting are just so numerous inside of these shows. So, you know, it was an exciting show though, Rob. 2 300s. You know, you had Belmo versus Troop. You know, Belmo versus Dom for the title. You know, you had Troop versus Dom. At one point. So great bowling. You know, really, really great matchups and great performances here, especially from Belmo to cap off his season. As if he hadn't done enough already, goes out, wins another title, shoots 300 again. 300 on 2 patterns, which I don't think has ever been done before, using 2 different balls, by the way. Let's just note that. So it was a great event, but I would just, again, I would like to see the PBA solidify what it is that they want to do. They're all over the place. You're right. And then you got these family king of the lanes things going on. Now, listen, I'm not getting deep into it, okay? I'm not trying to catch all the hate here. Is it entertaining? Yes. Yes. Is it good, little wholesome, fun entertainment? Yes. Yes, I will give you that. But is it good for bowling entertainment? For somebody like a fan like me that wants to watch that, I don't really think that it is. Like these matches, a lot of them were just total mismatches. Another observation from the family thing. Who knew that all Chris Barnes needed to become clutch was to bowl with his son? Who knew that? Who knew? You put the guy
that's
on
unfair.
You
Dude,
put
Chris
the guy on TV with his
That's
son, and he
unfair.
can't miss in the clutch.
That's
He can't
unfair.
miss in the clutch.
Chris has been so good lately in his last, 5-10 years of being clutch.
Clearly, if you're a fan of Sweep the Rack, you understand where I'm coming from here.
I know.
Right?
Look, I'm not gonna get into the king of the family lanes or whatever it's called.
But here's my final point on that before you. My only point is that I have no problem with it. Again, I watched it. I enjoyed it. I'm going to go watch it downstairs after we're done here. I'm recording it.
I'm not.
But here's my problem.
Watching it.
I want something different. I don't want King of the Lanes. I don't care if it's family King of the Lanes, individual King of the Lanes. We've done King of the Lanes. We've done King of the Hill back in the 90s. I'm kind of done with that. Let's try something completely different. Completely different. I don't know.
The family thing is completely different.
No, it's not. It's King of the Lane. It's King of the Lanes. It's the same thing.
The family aspect of it is
okay, and that's not my problem with it. My problem with it is it's the King of the Lanes, and we've done that, and it's like try something different.
Here's my take. I'm not disagreeing with you. Okay, and I'm not going to complain about the competitiveness of the matches, because you have a 10-year-old bowling against a 17-year-old, okay, essentially, right? I don't think that's the point of these shows. They try to make it that way, but in reality, I think what it really is just trying to bring out is, maybe show the fans, their kids, and I kind of get what they did. Now, as a fan, as a bowling fan, like someone who likes to watch high-level competitive bowling, am I watching it? Do I have it even DVR'd? I'm sorry to say I'm not. I see highlights on social media. That's really good enough for me. Ronnie Russell's kid throws the ball fantastic. Barnes's kid throws the ball fantastic. These kids have a bright future if they stay in the sport, which is cool to see. Personally, I'd rather see a stepladder of just the kids, and maybe, not like nothing against Smallwood's kid, right? But he might be a little bit too young. In reality, if that's the way you were going to go on the PBA show,
it depends what you're going for, right? Like you mentioned before. Right. I mean, the context of my issue with it is not so much the kids or who. It's the fact that we've done this idea, and that's something that's been done before. But I kind of enjoyed the personal side of it, right? Like that, we talk about that a lot, Rob, in terms of we want to see more of the personal side of the bowlers and their stories and their background. And I think this was a partly a good way to do that and show that. But again, in the context of it being a King of the Lanes type thing. Nah, I don't know. Like, I don't think it had to be that. I don't think it had to be that at all. Like, presenting it that way almost presents it as a competition, and it really wasn't meant to be a competition. It was meant to be more of a showcase, if you will, which I'm fine with. But like,
Mike,
I don't
here's
know.
an idea.
The marketing on it was just terrible.
Here's an idea, okay? And I got this idea from reading Matt Anderson's comment about how he wants to see new bowlers on TV. What if the PBA ran like a non-champions tournament? I mean, a national tournament where the PBA pros can bowl that haven't won national titles. Now, I'm just throwing that out there. You want a new idea? You want to see new faces on TV? Maybe give a chance to people who haven't won a national title, a chance to bowl for a national title that haven't won one yet. Now, I'm just throwing that idea out there. You want to see some new faces and some new talent on TV? Maybe you want to go that route. Maybe I'm look, the king of the lanes and in a strike derby and all this other stuff is trying to bring in the people who aren't the high level competitive bowling fans like we are. They want to bring in the casual fan. They want to bring in, like the celebrity Chris Paul event, right? That's not catered to the high level bowler. And I think sometimes, Mike, as high level competitive fans, we need to step out of where we are as high level competitive bowling fans and just watch bowling for what it is. And sometimes a fun, family fun friendly, casual, like bowling like show.
No, that's cool. I think the marketing behind it was just off. That's all.
Well, that's the marketing.
You got to do it in a different way. You got to present it in a different way. I don't have a lot of thoughts about what that way is. I wouldn't go in that direction personally. I would go in different directions. Anything that I would do, and obviously this isn't going to surprise anyone, but anything that I would do in terms of ideas for content for the PBA would be based around betting. Right? Anything that I put together is going to try and be something that you can promote to a high level in betting. And I don't know if that's a series of one-on-one best of 5 or best of 7 matches between top players where maybe you pick the matchups you want. We never really get to do that, Rob. Like the matchups in bowling always have to be organic based on the results, right? We never get to say, well, we want to see this guy bowl that guy on this pattern. You understand what I'm saying? Like, I could think of some really good matchups.
So you want to have the fans vote on matches and then
either whether it's fan voting or whether
it's going to be Belmo versus Rash every show if they have
but see, that's what I'm saying. You also have to have some executive say in there because you have to have your finger on the pulse of what's going to be good content, and what's going to create good content.
How about an 8-pound ball tournament?
No,
I mean,
I'm good.
Look, I'm sure like there's a lot of.
But anything I would do would be solely based around betting, and I would try and promote it as like, okay, let's create this competition to get bowling in the spotlight of sports gambling for the time that we have over this weekend. We have 8 hours. There's not much going on. Let's craft something and spend a month promoting it between our playoffs and now to where we can really get word out about it. But all in all, I thought it was a great event. I don't think the results were shocking at all. I think everybody kind of, wasn't going to be surprised if Belmo won, and Belmo won. I was hoping for the Simonson Belmo matchup. I feel like Dom Barrett, no disrespect to Dom, but Dom, I feel like he got lucky and ruined it for everybody. Everybody wanted the Simo Belmo matchup, and Dom was just carrying the world in that match. And, some days it's your day. And it didn't turn out that way. But, that would have been, to me, a really awesome way to cap off this event with Belmo and Simo bowling each other in the final. 2 300s on televised TV. That was awesome to see. They both get 10 grand for that. So that's a little bonus for those guys. But, it was a good event. Good event all in all. I just, and we go back to this all the time. I just want to see it done in a different way. That's it.
So,
all right, Rob.
Yeah, so my transition, right? While this family derby or family fun bowling event is going on TV and people are getting exposed to family fun on a PBA, there's actually some real bowling going on, some real professional bowling going on in this country, and it's by the ladies, the PWBA. Mike, the PWBA, like, it's as a high competitive bowler, those are the shows you want to watch. Like, these women are no joke. They're very, very, very good. They're very talented. And, they're entertaining, Mike. They really are when you come down to it. So there's been a lot of PWBA action going on. They're bowling right now in my old neck of the woods, I believe, in Long Island, which is, only probably about a half hour from 45 minutes from where I grew up in Brooklyn. But we had some winners while we were out, on break. Some of the winners, I believe, were Liz Culkin won. She beat Brianna Cote, who beat me in that amateur tournament a couple of weeks ago. So it's good to see Brianna starting to bowl good. I think she's starting to come into her own. I believe Shannon O'Keefe won while we were out. So that's no surprise, right? Shannon O'Keefe is probably arguably the best woman on the women's bowling tour right now. I think you could maybe make a top 3 between a Shannon O'Keefe, a Danielle McEwen, and I don't know, maybe, arguably there's probably a third spot open there, but I think those are 2, maybe Stephanie Johnson. And then, did I miss anybody who's won recently?
I had
Clemmer.
O'Keefe from the beginning of the season. You had O'Keefe, Johnson, the international player Norix, Clemmer, and Colkin are the winners thus far. Yeah.
Well, talk about Clemmer. Holy shit! You see what she did, and look, like, that's no joke, because that's a pro shot they're bowling on. Okay, that's not an easy shot. Now, obviously, to throw the scores that she did she have to have an unbelievable reaction and throw the ball good. Yeah, like, her probably look was amazing, but to bowl that for a 4-game set, and I don't remember the exact number, but it was close to like 900. I mean, she did it on different pairs too, on top of it. So what she did was amazing. And she's starting to come in her own too. You saw her make her show earlier. She finally wins her first title. So, I love seeing the new women come in and challenging some of the, the reigning queens of the PWBA, like a Stephanie Johnson and a Shannon O'Keefe. I love to see a lot of the new talent come in. I'm still waiting on the woman two-hander, Mike. When are we going to see the female Belmo come? I think it's going to be in the next 3 years we might see one. But
yeah, it's interesting that you say newcomers, new talent. Obviously, I know they're new to the PWBA tour, but I feel like a lot of these young ladies that are out there, like, we've heard these names for a while.
Well, we've heard
bowling. Yeah, like
people that actually don't follow it as intimately as we follow it. Clemmer.
Yeah, I don't know though. I don't know, because like somebody like Brianna Clemmer, like, her name has been around since she was young and bowling junior gold, and she's been making shows literally since back then.
Well, so the women bowling, like the training, the up and coming, are leaps and bounds better than it was, like, back in probably the 80s and the 90s, I'd imagine. Right. I mean, there was only really a few bowling programs when I went to college that were actual, like, really great, like, had great women's bowling programs. And obviously, no surprise, Wichita is one of them, and Nebraska was the other one. Right.
Yeah. Spoiler alert. Robert Hamilton letting us know that the Ballards beat the Barneses in the final match. Chris Barnes taking the L to the ladies again. Once again, I don't know. It's tough. No, that's great though. It's great. I told you, when we get done, I'm actually going to go downstairs. I'm going to turn that on. I'm going to check it out. I'm going to watch it, just because, like Sherry said earlier, I kind of watch anything that has to do with bowling, whatever it is. Dave here giving us a little criticism. We appreciate the constructive criticism around here too. Saying we need better commentary on the PW.
Not talking about us.
I think he's talking about us.
No, he's talking about the actual shows themselves.
Oh, all right. Well, I was going to say, Dave, give us a minute, bro. Like, we're catching up.
He's talking about the actual shows.
We're catching up over here.
No, he's actually talking about the actual shows.
Okay. Honestly, I haven't paid much attention to the commentary. I like watching the ladies though, because they throw the ball and play the lanes more like I do than I play the lanes like somebody that makes a regular PBA tour show.
The women bowling is bowling at its pure, true form at its highest level, right? It's all one-handed. It's all 3 fingers, right? It's all strategy, how you play the lanes,
shot making. It is. It's like watching an early to mid '90s PBA show. It is
100%.
I totally agree with that. It's why I enjoy watching it. I have caught some of the shows. The early ones I did not catch, but the later ones I have caught. I think that they've been pretty entertaining. It's nice. It's nice to see the ladies back on TV. Like you said, Rob, it's nice to see some of the new faces. So Yeah, really have enjoyed watching the shows in general. We got to try and get some of the players on here as well. We got to try and make that happen. But all right, Rob, are you ready? It's been a couple weeks. Are you ready to give the people what they show up here for?
There's a lot of worst of the week. We need to do worst three of the last 3 weeks.
Man, I know. Choices are endless. All right, Rob, you want to go or you want me to go?
Let me see if I could pull mine up because I just got this one sent to me today, which is funny because I had a bunch of worst of the weeks on deck. And this one was pretty good one because it was in the South Regions Bowling Tournament page, whatever that is. I'm not a part of it. Probably is a good thing. But it gives an idea of how like just broken the sport is at a certain level when it comes to handicap and how people understand and want handicap. And so I'll read the post and then we can kind of talk about it. So Mark Haney, congrats. You've won worst of the week. I don't understand having a max on handicap in tournaments. 80% or 90% of 220 or 230 with a max handicap is an advantage to scratch bowlers. When you have a max handicap, it scares bowlers away. I mean, someone has a 140 average and they bowl just that. Their high game for the league year might be 180. If you want a scratch tournament, then have a scratch tournament. If you have a handicap tournament, don't have a max. Well, the 140 average bowler will be the one to go to tournaments first if there is no max handicap. They may not bowl 160 as their high game, but they enjoy being around other bowlers in the competition.
And okay. You're giving that worst of the week?
Yeah, it's worst. I'll tell you why it's worst of the week.
We're going to argue about this one. Go ahead.
How do you want a handicap tournament with no max handicap? Like, how do you
why should there be a max? If the person's average is 120 and it's 80% of 220, then they should get 80 pins.
Well, that's what it is, but that's not what he's saying.
Yes, it is. He's saying that there should be no max. Like, to have a max handicap means that you would say, well, the max amount of pins you can get is 50. So even if you're supposed to get 80, you only get 50.
No, what I think he's saying is that there shouldn't be a cap on the average. It should be literally based on 300. Like, the handicap should be based on your average, and there shouldn't be no max. Like, you should get the difference of the 120 compared to a 300. There should be no max on the average. You get it? That's what this guy's trying to say. So this guy's trying to say this guy who has a 120 average should be getting 180 pins a game. And if you and then
yeah, but hold on a minute. This is why I don't think he's what he's saying, because what you're saying doesn't really make a lot of sense. Because okay, if the 120 bowler, if it's 100% of 300, okay,
which is crazy.
If it's 100% of 300, the 120 bowler gets 180 pins, right? But the 220 bowler gets 80 pins. So like that wouldn't make any sense either, because it's still the same as 100% at this level or that level.
Yeah. So maybe,
that's why
maybe
I think
I'm
what he's saying is no, like he must have bowled in a tournament where it was 80% of 230. Okay. But you can only get X amount of pins and that's it.
Right. Okay.
So and I disagree with that. I mean, to me, that's nonsense. Like, if it's 80% of 230, it's 80% of 230. So whether the person averages 200 or 120.
Okay. So I read it wrong then. I apologize. But
maybe you did. Rob, you never know with these people. Maybe you did. Maybe I'm reading too deeply into it. I don't know. But
long story short here is the fact that the handicap is just generally broken. So I apologize if I read that wrong, but long story short, I bowled in a league where the handicap was 80% based on 210. Okay. And I averaged 230 something in the league. So you could imagine that I ran the league over, right?
No, probably not.
Well, I did because the
Okay.
people were getting handicapped based on
Based
210.
on 210. Okay, yeah.
And I
You're
averaged
above that, right?
230. Yeah, I
Right,
was already 20
right,
pins above everybody, right?
right.
The next year, they changed the handicap to 100% of 240. I had
Okay.
no chance after that. I had average 240 just to compete with these people that are bowling 170, 180.
Yeah, well, we've discussed before. I mean, the
Yeah,
handicap system doesn't work, particularly given the
it doesn't.
easiness of the lanes.
But it
I
took
actually,
me to go in there to actually crush them before they like changed it.
I
And
heard
then
I heard a group of guys last night at my league having a discussion about their winter league and the handicap situation in their winter league. And if I was hearing them right, because I wasn't involved in the conversation, so I was sort of eavesdropping on it. But if I heard them correctly, they they basically were saying that there's teams in the league that they just have to give way too many pins to, and there's if this other team just shoots 180 or 190, there's no way you can beat them, and that shouldn't be allowed. And I wanted to get involved in the conversation, but I didn't because I don't really know these guys, and I wanted to just say, like, guys, are you surprised that it's easy to shoot a score that's above your average on these conditions? I mean, it's ridiculous how easy they are. So it's like, I don't know. I mean, I don't really see it that way. I see it like
so
if you want to deal with the handicap issue, make them harder.
so
Make
here's
them
my
harder
thing.
so the skill counts more.
So here's my thing. If somebody gets caught dumping or sandbagging in a USBC sanctioned league or tournament, there should be a lifetime ban from the sport. There needs to be worse consequences for people who dump, because dumping is such a major problem across the whole country, especially in New York. I've lived in a lot of places, Mike. You know that. I bowled in a lot of different places across the country.
Yeah,
Dumping, sandbagging is notoriously 100 times worse in your area
all you
than
got to
any other
do,
area.
all you got to do is just make them a little tough. That's it. Make them a little tough, and all the sandbagging, it ain't going to matter. It'll go away in a matter of time because
Right.
if they're a little bit tough, it's not going to make a difference.
I agree with you, but in reality, what was probably more of an easier thing to happen, because we've had Chad Murphy on the show. The USBC isn't changing anything on their leagues when it comes to the shot, right?
That's the problem.
But when it comes to like implementing a lifetime ban on people they catch sandbagging and dumping, I feel like you could do that at a quicker pace, and I feel like there needs to be a super harsh like penalty for people that are caught sandbagging.
It's so hard to prove.
It's not. I mean, if somebody's averaging one, yeah, it's hard to prove. I'll agree with that, but in reality, like, there needs to be something done. Anyway, I apologize for my worst of the week, people. I swear, I promise next week I will bring a better one.
Here's my worst of the week. It's pretty easy. You're all going to get it. It doesn't require a lot of conversation. And these guys follow us, so shout to these guys. But I'm still giving you worst of the week because was terrible. House Hack Bowling. House Hack Bowling has won worst of the week on Sweep the Rack. So if you're a fan of House Hack Bowling and you follow them on social media, let them know. The reason I'm giving them worst of the week is because they put up a video on YouTube. I guess it's like a podcast type thing they're doing. And it's called Strike a Conversation. They put up on YouTube. And their topic for this episode was, should you be on staff?
That's amazing. That is so good. And so what was the
worst of the week, yo? Worst of the week for encouraging patch piratism.
Pirates.
Okay, you encourage patch piratism, you get worst of the week from me, son.
What were the responses to the people?
I don't know. Didn't read them. I responded and said, in a word, no. That was my response.
Damn.
Sorry.
They're all out recruiting for Patrick.
House Hack Bowling. Listen, you want to take it as shots fired? Go ahead, son. You feeling froggy? Jump, dog. What do you want to do? I'm just saying. You encourage patch piratism, I'm coming at you. Okay?
Oh, that's funny.
All right, Rob. Give the people what they want, please. My final thought is I'm excited to really spend some time this summer bowling. I've been very busy. I've been caught up in stuff, and I'm looking forward to some free time to be able to get out and bowl some stuff, do some things I want to do bowling wise. So free time starts in a couple weeks.
My final thought is I realized bowling this last weekend at the USBC tournament that practicing even in a high competitive place like B3 on patterns, string pins, drilling balls, is when you actually bowl the event, it is a completely different physical game than when you actually practice. And what I mean by that is I bowl for an hour and I'm you throwing it so good and everything is working, and it almost seems like when you actually get to the competitive side of it, I feel like my body I completely don't feel like I was when I was practicing. And I feel like a lot of people have this issue, and I feel like really the only way to probably solve it is to bowl as much high level competitive stuff as you can. And I feel like that's why people that have TV experience, the pros especially, that are on TV all the time, win more because of the fact that they have so much experience bowling in the lights that they actually are able to just, it becomes like a second nature for them bowling on TV. So my final thought is I could practice as much as I want, but nothing will ever duplicate the actual bowling of the event. Plain and simple.
Yeah, I agree with that. I just think that, to me, whether I practice or I don't, it's about, do I quickly get comfortable out there in the environment I'm bowling in? If I can get comfortable and feel like I'm throwing it good, then everything kind of falls into place. But if I'm not, then yeah, it's like a disaster and it's very hard to get things back on track. But yeah, I totally feel you on that, Rob. I experienced that a lot,
Dude, it's tough because there isn't a lot of high-level competitive tournaments around my area. Maybe you'll get one maybe once a month. And then a high-level tournament, you're going to have to travel. Like you're going to have to literally book flights, take long road trips to bowl high competitive if you want to stay busy every weekend. Unfortunately, that's not the path I want to take, and I know that's not the path you want to take. So you're right, though, when it comes to like getting comfortable, because the USBC tournament is so hard in the fact that even though the shot was a little bit easier this year than normal, you're there, you travel, you have all these plans, you do all this money, and you literally have 3 games of team event after they give you 10 minutes of practice, Mike, and there's 10 on a pair.
Right.
So you know how hard it is to actually get relaxed and comfortable and to get your legs under you? I don't really start feeling my legs until like the second game. So the first game is all on like instinct. Like,
right.
I hope the ball's just going off my hand to where it needs to be. So yeah, so that's just my final thought, just because I just came off this tournament and I practiced a lot for it. And how do you practice getting your body where you need to be at a high level competitive? There really is no practice for it. All you can do is just prepare yourself and mentally try to relax and calm yourself down as quick as possible. But you don't really get that like practice and that experience until you do it. So
fair enough. All right, Rob, it was good to be back. Yes. Thursdays is our new night for the summer anyway.
Yeah, next week's probably not happening, FYI, people.
Why?
I have to talk to Mike about it. I'm going to Vegas.
All right.
Guys trip. What up?
Hey, okay.
So,
So, we're back temporarily then, I guess we'll say. Thursdays is our new night. Maybe we can maybe we can go on another night next week. But Thursdays is our new night for now because I'm bowling on Wednesdays. Spread the word. Let people know. Rob, or check us out on social media. On Twitter, I'm at the 215. He's at Brooklyn Rob 11. Check us out on the web, sweeptherackbowling.com. Check us out on Instagram. That's where I was putting up a lot of the stuff from the training center, so check that out. And yeah, shoot us an email, sweeptherack@gmail.com if you want to get in touch with us. We love the emails. Guys, have a great week. We appreciate everybody coming out, getting involved in the discussion. Rob, have a great week, and we'll see everybody either next week or in 2 weeks.
We'll figure it out. Later.
All right, later.
You are now listening to Sweep the Rack podcast featuring Brooklyn Rob and Big Mike.